here with Brayden Pierce, and I really just want an introduction to how you got into music.
Okay. How you guys doing? I'm Brayden Pierce. I've been a music guy my whole life, ever since I was a kid. Just music spoke to me, and I really didn't start performing until the age of like 10, 11, 12. And it was like in grade school, like the first theater classes where you got up on stage and sang a little bit or acted, and it just kind of felt right. It felt good on stage. I'm also a middle child, so having that extra attention was nice.
Yeah.
But I picked up the guitar at the age of 13, and just did the school musicals. I started playing, just learning all the sort of like rock gods that I appreciated, like Pearl Jam and Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, and I'd be like the after school special. My friends would stay after school, and I would just like rock out, and that set the foundation for a lot. My high school choir, actually, I fell into that. I was kind of like, I was trying to, in high school, you're trying to find out who you are a bit, right? You're trying to wear different, clothing. Like one time I was a skater with these really big, 30-inch barrel, legs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like wearing urban clothes like Tommy, Nautica, and stuff like that. And sometimes you find yourself a bit rebellious with the rebellious crowd. And then I met this like my high school sweetheart, and she was in choir, and she's like, "You should join." I'm like, "Okay," and I did, and it ended up being really fantastic for me because my choir, my whole music department in high school was really good. We won a Grammy, and my choir ended up touring Europe on a cathedral tour when I was 16. And so singing all the classic historical songs and hymns like Agnus Dei, Heilig, Handel, in these like monolithic cathedrals with like literally heavenly reverb. And we were really good, and people were crying in the pews, and I was like 16. I'm like, this is crazy. And then also I joined the show choir, which was like a real life Glee. Mm-hmm. Like we were also really good, and we toured the country for all the competitions and won first prize everywhere, undefeated, like Mike Tyson level shit.
Yeah.
No ears were bitten off though, so. but that again, and also there was a lot of foundations that happened in that time period, because I just again found myself in music. I would write songs, and I ended up going to University of Missouri, Mizzou. Still dating the same girl, my high school sweetheart, but and then I played the local music cafe every week. It was a college town, Columbia, Missouri, and there was like one or two local like music spots. So every Monday night I would play open mic night, work on my songs and stuff like that, and really knew that I wanted to end up in New York or LA. But but that went on for about. I think I finally gained enough courage to leave the Midwest. My junior year, I was like, I've had enough. I can't take this lifestyle anymore, and I need to get out. And so I convinced my dad to transfer my marketing degree to Cal State LA, and made a whole campaign. I pitched him and everything, and he's like, all right, fine. and I did, and I made that move, and acting sort of took over for me. I moved here, and right away, like a lot of great opportunities started falling in my lap. Like a great agent, commercial and theatrical, and I joined this 2-year acting conservatory and mastered the Meister technique, and did that for even longer, the more like master classes and stuff like that, and started booking as an actor, and that kind of just started taking over my life, and music kind of took a backseat in a bit. And really just worked the acting thing for quite a bit. I ended up getting like Brad Pitt, Natalie Portman's manager, also discovered James Franco and stuff like that, and it was working my way up the ranks. But then I had some a series of unfortunate events that compelled me to sort of take an existential lens on my life choices. Both my parents passed away in 2010 and then 2013, and it forced me to really just take stock of what I'm really spending my time on. And acting, I just kind of got fed up with it. It's like a perpetual job interview. It's like at one moment, it's like, in LA, Hollywood is a small town. It's like 1 minute, everybody is interested in calling me in. I was going out for all the lead roles. Almost was on Twilight and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a werewolf. And all those things. So there's all these close calls, and it's just like I love the charm of acting on stage, but I fell out of love with the process of getting a job. You really have to stay in love with that. And so at that point, when my mom passed away, I was like, I am going to dedicate my all to music, because music is really, if I were to have to choose one, it's music. And so I was like, well, I'm going to dedicate all I can to being the best music artist I can be. And so I broke up with my girlfriend at the time. We were together for 6 years, 7 years. And I was like, bye. And I actually moved to Santa Monica in this artist commune for about 6 to 9 months, and played the 3rd Street Promenade every day. And
guitar?
Yeah, just busted out there and sang, and it's a lot different back then than it is now. It was over 10 years ago.
Less safe?
It was much, much safer. It was a safe haven of commerce, of people, of tourism, of artists, and because you didn't really have YouTube or social media then. And so I had several friends that had gotten major label record deals from just playing the Promenade and gaining a following. Yes.
What?
$1 million record deals. One with Atlantic, one with Island Def Jam. And so it's like when you hear that, you're like, well, it's like, yeah, I'm doing that. That sounds great. Yeah. And it's humbling too, because you got to slip up there with your gear, and you got to make it look cool. And then sometimes you're playing for no one, yeah. And then maybe it's one person, but maybe that one person turns into 10 or 20 or 30, and ultimately it was one of the most educating experiences for me as a performer, because it taught me to really have a thread with the audience, because nobody's really there to see you. They're just walking back and forth. So it's like, I watch it. It's like if you're a girl wearing a dress, or so to speak, odds are you're gonna have men stop right away, and then all of a sudden more people are gonna stop. It's a social psychology around that aspect, right? It's harder for sure as a guy with a guitar to go up there with no expectations and make it work. You know what I mean? And I learned it. I watched that. I studied that for months. I watched it happen time and time again. It was like clockwork. It was mathematical. And so that just kind of just raised my personal chops up as a singer-songwriter, performer, to be able to be interesting enough for people to be like, oh, I like this. This is cool. Let me just stop for a minute. And then I would start booking gigs at the Santa Monica, the new mall, the Santa Monica Place mall, the 3-story mall over there with Nike and stuff.
Yeah.
So they would start paying. They would pick performers in there and pay them a decent amount of money, and then it would get projected throughout all the speakers and stuff, and they would build a stage. And then so I decided to start playing gigs around town, like the Roxy, for example. I played the Roxy. Vibe Room many times, Whiskey, all the classic Sunset spots. And then I ended up getting a cool little solo project going on. It was first called Brayden and the Bandits, and then just Brayden Pierce. And then I met a few dudes who graduated from Musicians Institute, which is a big music school. And we decided to put together a little band. They had a singer that dropped out, and met them, and they had this cool Red Hot Chili Peppers math rock sound. And I was like, this is cool. And actually before that, there was a few other bands that I was hopping around, and there was one called Animal Motherboard. it was this punk pop band, and then this one. So this band we ended up calling ourselves. It was first called Thieves Like Us, and then we ended up calling it Mandala. But we were something like Chili Peppers meets Danzig.
Okay.
It had this pretty wild sound. And I would like jump around on stage like Joe Cocker. And like it was just wild fun. But unfortunately we kind of like it's difficult. I learned a lot of lessons in that project because all those guys were Musicians Institute graduates. They were really studied on music theory. And I was classically trained as a singer and stuff like that and all that background, but I left that shit years ago, you know, and my writing process and basically just comes from a more organic place. Like, what is it I'm feeling at the moment, and let me just express it without too much sort of premeditated thought. Let me just, you know, get into a meditative state and just jam for 20, 30, 40 minutes. And, you know, it's like all of a sudden, you know, you're in sort of like your own dimensional state where, you know, the pure form of creation just, you know, just kind of cuts itself out, you know, sculpts itself. That's where I like to be and create it. So anyway, so the Musicians Institute guys, they were so deeply educated and learned on music theory, and they were really focused on like, it can't be 4/4. It's got to be really, really crazy time signatures. It's got to be really complex intros and movements and stuff like that. I'm like, I guess, but I just want to make dope shit that people want to rock out to, you know? Like I would, and so we just kind of hit butt heads on that, as well as on the business side. You know, nobody wanted to kind of like get to work and get you done. I ended up doing it all. So out of frustration, I had to leave that scenario and ended up again doing my solo thing, back to Brayden Pierce, and would be playing shows all around town wherever I could play. I would just do it, and sometimes I would have multiple gigs a night. And then I met a fellow guitarist. I was playing at the Roxy again, and I met a fellow guitarist, Tom Sandoval, and he was like, I love your sound, it's really cool, and we started jamming, and then we became a little band. He became my guitarist for my solo project, but then eventually I wanted to honor him a little bit more, and that became, instead of Brayden Pierce, it became Pierce the Arrow. And that had this cool kind of like the Smiths meets like Mumford & Sons meets like Jeff Buckley kind of sound.
Okay.
And then we started getting some really cool gigs like all around town, Silver Lake, Hollywood, wherever. And then he ended up being a part of this reality show called Vanderpump Rules.
Oh yeah.
And so that was just starting to pick up big time. He's like, you know, becoming this reality star, and he wanted to like incorporate the band into the show, and I wasn't having that at all because I was like, reality shows are like oil and vinegar to me. Like they don't mix with me just because there's so many problems I see with reality shows in terms of the kind of behavior they sort of encourage with social dynamics and relationships, and also what we define as like valuable things in our lives. I feel like it's misappropriated, and I've watched that whole friend group, a very wonderful friend group. They were my friend group as well, and watched them sort of like eat each other alive for camera time and fame. I mean, again, they're the ones last laughing because they're millionaires now. But at the same time, it's like you literally have to sell your soul to make that happen. And so I didn't want the band to be a reality show band. I wasn't about that. And so had to let Tom go at that time because it just was getting a little too much. And I rekindled with a long-term friend of mine, Matt Wallerstein, who was my longtime friend, but kind of fell out of touch a little bit. And then we needed a keyboardist, and he played piano and stuff. And so we had some jam sessions, and really liked his vibe. And then so after gave Tom the boot, it became mine and Matt's project, and then we decided to give it a new name called Kingdoms.
Yes, yeah.
Kingdoms, and that started back in 2013, and we released our first EP in 2014, and that had like this Empire of the Sun meets Foster the People sound, Killers-ish as well, and yeah, man, and again, like we started playing shows, and in a year's time, we were selling out like the House of Blues on Sunset when it was still open. We played the main stage of LA Pride, which is huge. It was like through a friend who was working with the department, and like, you want to play? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah. Why the fuck not? Yeah. Support everyone, and support love, and it's a whole other conversation. But it was all for a good cause, and then and we ended up playing Made in America Festival, which was Jay-Z's Rock Nation Festival downtown. We opened up for Imagine Dragons, more or less. Yeah. And all these things were just really, really good. But then we hit some walls, because it's like you're working so much, making all this happen, but then you have to survive in LA. And making your way as an artist makes it very, very challenging to also survive in LA, because you're after all these projects I'm talking about are like guerrilla-based startups. You got to find your core team. They all have to be aligned. You got to figure out who roles does what, and then you got to basically, with a shoestring budget, you got to make it happen.
Yes. And
the reality of the business model is ever so challenging with music, because where does the money actually come in? They're constantly just like, it's red, 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 red. You're not making any fucking money. So, constantly find myself just like, getting, rent late due and all these kind of things, pay your bills. And so it was this constant battle between all that. And so we ended up having some friction with growing as an entity. We had a couple guys enter the band, and some friction about where we're going to take our sound. And so at that point, I didn't know how to produce or DJ. But
really?
Yeah, this was like 2015. And then my new roommate at the time was James Kennedy, who's also on Vanderpump Rules.
Yeah. Okay.
He's like killing it right now. He's like literally killing it, like playing major clubs and selling them out, like packing them.
Yeah.
Like girls screaming for him. It's like he's like the Beatles. It's insane. So we lived together for about a year and a little over a year, and it became this like cool like workshop. And I was getting frustrated with working with all these music producers, like sharing my vision, and then I'm like, this is what I want, and then I end up getting like this, and so out of frustration, I decided to learn how to produce.
Yes. Yeah.
And of course, like also coincidentally with technology at that point made it easier, right? It was the first time really that you could really do it well enough. So I literally just like ensconced myself into the world of production and dropped everything in my life for like at least a year. The entire time me and James were roommates, it was like he was working on a production, I was working on a production, and day and night we were like, he showed me like some really cool tips because he had been producing for a lot longer, and as well as DJing, like showed me a little bit how to DJ, and I would like play gigs with him and stuff like that. New Year's Eve we did one, and some other gigs as well. I played at Pump a couple times, stuff like that. yeah, and I realized, wow, okay, well, all this music background, and I used to win. I have a math background as well. Like I used to win math awards and shit as a kid.
What the heck?
Like it was like rated 99th percentile in math, and used to win like these medals and shit. But I never applied that. But music producing allowed me. It's kind of applied form of math, because a lot of ways music is math. I mean, not from a creative standpoint. I'm really modeling, aren't I? You ask me one question and go.
That's perfect. Keep going. Keep going.
So, it's like, I don't create from a place of math when it comes to music, but when you look at music on any production tool, it's all it is math. You're dialing EQ and frequencies, and you're figuring out timing, and it's all a big math puzzle, and that's how I see it. So for me, it was like this wonderful like fodder from that side of my brain, and everything just really clicked. It made me a better musician all around, because you see things more holistically. It's a bit like being a director. If you're an actor, it's like directing or producing a movie or a TV show. That's gonna make you a better actor, because or working on casting, and it's gonna make you being a better actor because you know where you sit in the whole grand scheme of things. Maybe a little bit holistically what needs to happen. And so a lot of things clicked there, and but then then me and my core bandmate and long-term friend Matt, we had a little bit of like adversity, and it's unfortunate because we had a lot of momentum going on, but he wanted to sort of like just kind of like peace out of the project, and I was like, oh fuck, like put everything into Kingdoms, and it's like, why would you want to stop now? But I respected his wishes, but it did actually put me in a tailspin, mental health wise, and like just like directional wise.
You're lost.
Yeah, because it's like I've lost my parents, got rid of my long-term girlfriend. I'm like, whatever money I got from like my parents, I'm like, I'm gonna put this into music. And now like I invested into him, and he's like, peace out. But so he really did put me in a tailspin. I was like, what do I do? It took me all of 2016 to really just figure out that question. And so by the beginning of 2017, I was like, and I was working on music and producing and shit the whole time and getting better. So by 2017, I was like, well, let me rebrand again. And instead of as Kingdoms or Brayden Pierce, I went under another solo name, City Kid. And I went through this like really fucking amazing self-help program. I mean, I had to call it a program because that sounds a little institutional or culty, but it was not that at all. It was just like this couple from New York, Robert and Michelle. They like put together like a self-help workshop that helps you get out of your own way to achieve your own goals in life. Really as simple as that. And everything, from Eastern mysticism, Buddhism, Vedantism, Taoism to like quantum physics and modern psychology, and like put it in a cool workshop that's affordable, and no strings attached to it. And so in working with them, I learned about siddhi and siddha as this old Sanskrit word that's been around for thousands of years. And so siddhi means, or a siddha is someone who's achieved paranormal and magical powers through meditation and yoga. And when I heard that, I was like, wow. I mean, the fact that, we have this concept that is sort of lost in translation of time, where humans have essentially found a way to be real life X-Men. And I was like, I need to find a way to sort of like lift that up or just like showcase that. And I was like, so the City Kid is a bit of a triple entendre. where you're a city kid in the urban jungle. It's more like quadruple entendre. So city kid is yours. We're in the urban jungle, LA. City being that this old Sanskrit word and the meaning behind it. And one of my favorite quotes is "Never lose your childish enthusiasm," which is from Federico Fellini, old famous director. And that to me is such an important quote because it literally, to me, is a necessity for creation and creativity. Because at its purest form, because if you are truly in touch with who you're, if you're in touch with your child self, remember what that was like. It was nothing but just pure creation. You would just sit here and just imagine things and ideas and be a character and have fun and draw, and there was no judgment or concern. You would just do it for hours. And then, adult life had to come around and fuck it all up. So, as an artist, the artist is often misunderstood for, playing with that sort of archetype in that role. It's a vital part of being an artist. And that's why I kind of have a compassion and offer Michael Jackson, for example, because I feel like there might have been Arrested Development there, but he understood that value of being a child and the magic and the wonder around that. And he knew that's where his magic and his spark is, always. It'll always be there. And so that being said, so that's City Kid right there. And then also it's like, it's like the festival culture. It's like, what is a festival? A festival is essentially a pop-up city for a day or two. You get a couple 100,000 people, you decide an economy, you work together, make shit happen, and it's all about music, and it's all about vibing together for a good cause, And so all those things. So the City Kid is about all those things and making a movement. But I was the only one that really knew that. So
it's hard to share that message with people.
Yeah, it's hard to really share that message unless you without $1 million, because you need about $1 million to break an artist. And I was doing it all on a shoestring budget. So, to me it was a bit like Ziggy Stardust. It was like a poor man Ziggy Stardust. It was like a persona within a persona. But it became this cool, fun project where I just got to do some cool electronic music. But then I rekindled with my bandmate, old best friend Matt from Kingdoms, and we just started having some of the most amazing writing sessions where it was just like our evolved selves just like coming together and making some great songs.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about, right? Just making great music. And that's really what we would do best. I've never met a better writing partner than him, just because we had this sort of like unspoken language. And so we were like, fuck it, Kingdoms is back on. Game on!
Yeah, man.
And then so, then we do it all over again. We started doing like house parties, we played big shows, and all the venues in Echo Park and Silver Lake. And then we had this really great plan and rollout. We shot this awesome music video. It was at the end of 2019, right before New Year's Eve and Christmas. No, I think it was right after Christmas. Anyway, it was this nice little pocket, and we shot 3 back-to-back music videos. And you can just tell, like, this whole music video shoot. The director of it was one of my close friends. He's Thomas Trail. Big shout out, Traily. He's just a really talented director that, is a good friend, and he's done over 100 music videos. He's had a film at Sundance years ago, and he's just a really underrated director. And thankfully, he's a good friend, so we were able to get a really amazing shoot done for the song. And you could just tell, like, that on shoot date, everything was just kind of magical and fun. We shot this party scene with all these great colors, everybody's wearing cool costumes, and that was the song Senses, Kingdom Senses.
Yeah.
You heard of it?
Yeah.
And so we had this big launch for it, January 2020. You know, put a lot of marketing dollars around it. We put like 20 to 40K in marketing around it. The song ended up getting 2 million, almost 2 point something million views. We had 1 million views in the first couple weeks.
That's crazy.
We were like, shit, this is like pretty much viral. And then shortly after, the fucking pandemic happened. I was like, oh, what is going on? and of course, you know, worldwide, it knocked the wind out of all of our sails. But I will say, as an artist and as, you know, you feel a lot more. It's our jobs to feel more than the average person, because you need that input and that data to make the art.
Yes.
You have to be an open vessel for, you know, just vibrations. A lot of people, again, don't understand that. There's a lot of pressure to intake all that stuff. You walk into a room, you feel it all, you know? Or you just, you know, walk outside, you could feel what's happening on the inside of the world. It just, you know, it's the way it is. So it definitely, you know, the pandemic definitely hit me strong. Definitely drank a lot. Definitely mastered the was it the COVID teeny or whatever it is?
Is it a drink that people make?
It was like vitamin C packets and vodka and shit.
Yeah.
It was great. You know, and also, you know, I was a bartender, so I had fun with it. But also prior to that, 2017, I picked up crypto. I fell into crypto as another way to make money, to supplement, you know, the money I wasn't making in the music world.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, crypto sounds amazing. Let me just try to figure out this. And I understood the value components right away, that it wasn't about like some kind of scheme. It was more like, this is how, you know, how tech has disrupted every part of our lives. Tech is now disrupting money as we know it, fundamentally. And that's how big it is. And so when you understand that, you're like, oh, okay. We are literally evolving money. And so I also, like, parallelly or parallelly?
I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
I don't know what word.
In parallel. There we go.
That's right.
In parallel, between 2017 and 2020, I like learned everything I could about crypto, Web3, blockchain, technical analysis, which was good for my math brain.
I was going to say,
Yeah, I was like, so I ended up developing my own trading and charting technique by using cycles and time cycles, which is very valuable because most people don't look at time. You know, any chartable asset is something. It's a price against time, but everybody looks at price action, and you're omitting time as a factor of analysis. And so to me, that was my edge, and I started to basically predict things. I also knew that March 2020 would be a major down point, and every other major up and down from then on, you know. But it's a lot to kind of figure out. There's like hindsight, and then there's like foresight, and there's like being in the moment with it, and then trading on it, you know, entering and exiting, you know. There's a lot of it truly is a trapeze act. Don't recommend it. Do not recommend learning how to trade assets whatsoever. And that's what happened in 2021. Coming out of the pandemic, you know, I actually started making quite a bit of money, you know, trading. I would turn like $2,000 to $100,000 in a matter of days. In days. It was so it started kind of because what I was working on like grander time cycles, but then it would also work on a granular level on like the 5-minute chart, 10-minute chart. So I would do these volatile, high leverage trades. Don't recommend it.
Yeah.
Because it's volatile, it swings both ways.
Yeah.
And ultimately, was a time period of exponential lessons, which ultimately led me to put that aside and the music aside for a minute and say, hey, well, what if there's a better way to go about this? You know, music has intrinsic value to us all.
Yes.
You know, like, what does music mean to you? What does music mean to all of us? You know, it's around everywhere. You work 9 to 5, and then you go to a bar, music's playing. You go to a club, music's playing. You go to go listen to karaoke. You gotta listen to music to make that happen.
Yeah.
It's literally the soundtrack to our lives. Life would be lifeless without music, and it's always been that way. It's just that we're in this weird little blip in the course of time where tech again revolutionized music.
Yes.
And knocked that value component out of whack. It's never happened before.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, because songs are now worth nothing, you know, since Napster, and since you can just download songs for free.
Yes.
You don't pay for songs on Spotify. Music's free. You pay for Spotify's service convenience, and that service convenience is $10 a month. So literally, music in the course of 20-something years has become valueless. But throughout the course of human civilization, music has had a noble and front seat place amongst kings and queens. You know, you were a nobleman if you played music, you know. But again, that changed since recorded music happened in the 20th century, the rise of industrial revolution. You started to, you know, have these really interesting devices that would play the violin automatically. You know, you play music automatically, and that changed that level as well. Again, cut to now, music is valueless, but I saw the value component to crypto, Web3, and the tokenization of everything. And I know that music has intrinsic value. So how do you put that together? And I was like, well, we can create a whole new music experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it started off as a comic book. I wanted to create like a comic book for every new single of mine that would be like this thematic, almost like a Marvel universe. Kingdom's Universe was going to be what was that? Kingdom's Universe was the original name for Andromeda.
Yeah. Oh no, really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And then in August 2021, I came up with Soundromeda. Because Andromeda is the nearest, a lot of people don't know this, but Andromeda is the nearest galaxy to the Milky Way. And a lot of people don't know that, but they should, because that's like common knowledge. It's like knowing the planets it's like knowing the planets in our solar system. But as a long-term astronomy geek, I've known that since I was like 5.
Yeah.
So like I was like, Soundromeda, boom. Where Soundromeda is a galaxy, and it's a virtual galaxy, and every artist is a solar system, and every song can transform into a song world, right? And you can have this infinite sort of galaxy that just expands along with all the new songs that are released every single day as an opportunity to be a song world if the artist wants it. So it's like creating a platform where the artist owns their IP, fully autonomous in that way, new forms of revenue. I was like, and it's coming from the heart of me, which is the artist, and understanding holistically where this needs to sort of like, how this needs to happen.
Yeah.
And so for the course of the last 2 years, it's been like, every week has compelled me to learn a new degree of information, whether it be like game design, game mechanics, token economy, to UI UX design, and just go-to-market strategies, and everything you would need to know fundamentally as a startup. But then there's so many other critical factors with blending 3 different industries, like the music industry, gaming industry, and Web3 and NFTs as an industry. So there's all those complexities is what I've really been studying and researching, statistical reports and all kinds of reports for 2 years. I wrote my white paper on the platform's vision July of 2022. July of 2023, we were able to get the first version of our platform done.
Yeah.
We have it materialized.
Yeah.
Which is great. You can like go and experience a song world. It's audio reactive. It's like a little playground, like a Disneyland. You can like win little items on the. You can like go on treasure hunts rather. And the idea is to create this like destination where you can send your fan base to do these like real fun like virtual treasure hunts. You can get discovered in a whole new way because of this like gamified artist discovery and a whole new kind of just a whole new thing. And the goal is to make it really to be the center point for any music artist in the music industry. So like this is a place where you can foster your creative vision, literally. It's like you can create your music, but now this is the ultimate companion to the music. It's the visual. You're playing with the audio visual, right? Now you can be inside your creations.
Yes. It's
like being inside a living painting of your song or a living music video. And it could be whatever you want, whatever colors, whatever, you could have lava clouds, you could have it raining candy cane, you could have like, chocolate rivers, you could have, whatever it could be, That sounds a lot like, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
But it can be all that, and that's the beauty of it. We're making it streamlined. I created an AI process that makes it really easy to transform your song, because it sounds like it could be complicated. But push a button, transform the song.
Do a roll.
Yeah. Bada bing, bada boom. And enter into some agreements, and then ready to go. And now you're basically, the beauty of it is that now it's a platform that speaks to half of the world that plays video games every single day.
Yes.
Every single day people play video games. And half of the world plays video games. Half of the world listens to 3 hours of music every day. So we're talking about a massive market that is dying for something new when it comes to music. Music streaming is tapped out. It's no value in Spotify or anywhere else. And live music is the ultimate experience. I'd never want to take away from that. But it's logistically cost heavy and financially cost heavy for everyone involved. So what do? What we do is Soundromeda. And so that's what I've been dedicated on. But in this past spring, I flew. Well, I was in England for about 3 months to work on the business plan for Soundromeda with this woman who specialized in business plans, and flew back in town for this convention. Went to some investor networking thing. Met a fellow entrepreneur. Had an intro. Turns out he has a piece of art going to the moon.
This is how you met him?
Yeah. And I was like, what? What the fuck does that mean? And I was like, he's like, I got my art collection going to the moon. And I was like, wow. I have a song called Capture the Moon.
Yes.
And I wrote this song way back when, in 2011, in my previous band. One of the first ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Capture the Moon has reincarnated all those projects. I was like, I have this song called Capture the Moon. It would be like a great soundtrack to whatever the fuck you're doing.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, send it to me, but the submissions have closed months ago. This thing is going on a moon lander, on a SpaceX rocket. It's being loaded up. It probably can't happen now, but who knows? And he's like, actually, the best way to do it is maybe we can do a new version and call it Modernist, Modernist is his collection, and call it the Modernist Edition. And I was like, I've been wanting to redo this song forever, because as an artist, your sound constantly evolves. So, in literally 24 hours, had a new version of the song, sent it to them, and the mission curators, for the art curators, and he's like, this is a 1 in a million chance, but this song is so good, it brought me to tears. And that's what he said. Yeah, and so he's like, it's going on the mission. It's going on the fucking moon. And there you go. After that weekend, I now have a song going to the moon. So I was like, oh fuck, and naturally, then I put my artist hat back on. I was like, well, we got to throw a single release party. I got to put out the song, and we got to do a single release party.
Yeah.
And we were gonna maybe do a little thing in LA, and some time passed, and then me and my co-founder for Moon Party. So then eventually this single release party became this Art Basel party called Moon Party. Mm-hmm. Moon Party is now this something so much more than a single release party. It's like this massive celebration of art and music going to the moon, and we're turning into this like mini festival. We're actually doing a documentary. We're filming Moon Party as like basically a live art installation, and sending that to the moon as well.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. We're sending everything to the moon, man.
Yeah,
everything. You go to the moon.
Yeah.
You go to the moon. It's very exclusive. It's like it costs $25,000 to do it. So I'm very fortunate and lucky that I didn't have to pay that.
To send the art to the moon?
Yes. Yeah. So be a part of this mission, it costs $25,000. Like, there's a Leonardo DiCaprio movie. There's unreleased Michael Jackson songs. There's Pink Floyd music. It's all really good company. You know what I mean? It's just that because my co-founder on Moon Party, he has this built-in relationship with them. He's done a lot of design work. We're now one big family, right? Where we're all supporting each other and officially as partners, right? So we do have the exclusive right to be filming our Moon Party in December 6th at the Surf Coma Hotel in Miami, South Beach.
Location now.
Yes.
Yeah.
We got a prime location in South Beach.
Yeah.
It's at the Kimpton Surf Coma Hotel, 1,200 capacity. We've got 7 DJs playing.
Including you?
Including me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be playing. It's a little stressful to be managing all these things and trying to sort of figure out what I'm going to play, but as of now, I'm going to do it. So,
yeah.
It's going to be exciting. Again, that whole thing is going to be recorded and going to be sent to the moon. We have there's multiple missions sending art to the moon on a SpaceX rocket. The first one is happening in January 2024.
That's soon.
It's soon. It was supposed to happen in November. It got pushed back. This is the first non-government sanctioned payload going to the moon ever in history.
Yes.
So it's a really big deal, and it's all at the sort of mercy of NASA. The mercy of NASA.
Yeah.
But it is, and that's what it is, and so we just have to kind of just play it by ear, and it's going to go up when it's going to go up, and in the meantime, we're going to throw moon parties. Our next one's going to be in the spring, summer. Moon Party number 2. Moon Party number 3 probably back in Miami in next December 2024.
Because there's multiple launches.
There's multiple launches, but we're gonna do moon parties probably forever.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, fuck yeah. This marks a new chapter in human civilization, putting human culture as an art and culture timestamp on the moon. Because where human civilization goes, you have art there to define culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as we dig up skeletons and other artifacts, all we have is the art to decide and define what they were like. So this art museum on the moon will last forever. It will never corrode in outer space because they're using the special technology. The data and information will literally exist for eternity. And so, it's a very big honor, and it's very exciting. It blows my mind. I think anybody hears that, it's hard to even really like put that in a box.
Because it's never happened.
Because it's never happened.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are never happened. So it's wild. But the reality is we are in a new chapter for the human race to exist beyond planet Earth. And we've seen it in countless stories and movies and TV shows, but now it's actually happening. So we will be colonizing the moon by 2040, living there, and there's hydrogen ice caps at the South Pole. And so we're trying to turn that into a gas station to power that, and then also as a liftoff to Mars. So that's why everybody's trying to get down there. You had Russia, India, all these other people trying to get down there to basically claim stake to that hydrogen fuel. It's all about the fuel.
Yes.
So that's the deal.
That's where we are.
That's where we are. We're here today, right now, trying to make it all happen, and we will not stop until it does.
No, you really are committed, because I see you here every day, just grinding. Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way. I mean, I feel like for the first time in my life, I wake up and I'm like, it's like not, oh fuck. I mean, of course I'm tired, but it's like we have a lot of cool shit to do, so let's fucking do it.
Let's do it.
I'm not grinding for myself as an artist anymore. I'm grinding for every music artist. So it's something that's much bigger than me, and I just won't stop until I see change. And I think that Soundromeda, what we're building, is the future of that. So,
And the website for that is soundromeda.io?
Soundromeda.com or .io, both works.
Man.
Yeah. Soundromeda.com.
And then where can people find the Moon Party information?
Yeah, that's moon.party, moon with 3 O's. Moon.party, yeah.
Work with that. And is there anything else that you want to share or promote, or those are the two main things?
I would say that, and look out for Capture the Moon. So I created another version called Moon Party Mix, and the Modernist Edition. That's all going to be dropping between December of 2023 and January 2024. So listen and share that, and go on to Soundromeda and add yourself to our newsletter. And if you're an artist, add yourself there, because we're going to be handpicking artists to create our first song worlds to showcase to the rest of the world what we can do with music. So
Excited stuff, man.
yeah, thanks.
Perfect. Well, thanks for being on here, Brayden. This has been one question.
Just and go.
I planned like all these questions, and you like answered everything without me doing anything.
Right on.